And we are back here on KFYO Mornings, Dave King and Matt Martin. And on line one is our Congressman, Jodey Arrington. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning. God bless West Texas.
Absolutely.
You know, you would say it with all the more vim and vigor if you had to work in the swamp. I guarantee you. But nevertheless, it was great to be home for the weekend and with some community leaders who support our healthcare providers and American Heart Association local chapter. And anyway, it was always good to be home, get re-energized, reinvigorated for the battle up here.
Yeah, you come home and to reality of the real world, don't you?
You really do. It's important. You hear things at home with folks who actually exercise a little common sense and good judgment, and you come back here and the bubble effect of Washington is real and it's dangerous.
Yeah,
but nevertheless,
I'm glad you mentioned that because everything I'm hearing, well, not everything, but the most of what I'm hearing coming out of the mouths of the Democrat is just goofiness, from my perspective. And am I hearing this wrong? Or are they all living in the bubble effect of Washington and believe this stuff that they're actually saying?
They listen to the echo chamber within the bubble, and it's serving them poorly because the American people aren't buying any of it. Whether it's the constant, incessant investigation and impeachment attempts, whether it's Russia or it's this or that, they understand. The American people of any party see this as purely political. What's sad is when people, for political reasons, seize opportunities that are national emergencies like the coronavirus to try to stir up the American psyche to feel like this is a crisis right now. It's serious. And I think the president should prepare and has prepared for the worst case scenario. But at this point, because of the containment efforts of the president, travel restrictions and other things, and we can talk about them, but the risk for Americans is very low at this point. It doesn't mean it can't be more widespread, and it probably will. But I think that this is a lot of folks are being pumped full of fear, and there's really no need to be afraid at this point.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, last year at this time in March, I had a serious viral infection, and I needed to go to the hospital, or needed to be admitted in the hospital, and had to wait nearly 2 days because the rooms here in Lubbock were all taken by influenza patients, and we really didn't even hear much about that. But the coronavirus is something akin to the flu, according to what I have read about it. And I think it's a perfect example, Congressman, of a story that has developed a life of its own.
It has. You're right. 30 million people had the flu last year. Thousands died because, there are vulnerable populations out there, elderly, folks with pre-existing conditions. The same precautions have to be made here. Now, we don't have a vaccine yet, but we're expediting that, probably see a vaccine in 3 months. Here's the thing I want you to reflect on, and your listeners. If we had a socialized medicine system where we basically have a government takeover of our drug making, pharmaceutical, therapy development, or our health system in large, you talk about being unprepared and incapable of developing all the things necessary to control this, to treat it. We would be out of luck, sheer out of luck. We are rated as the best healthcare system in terms of quality, infrastructure, experts, public health experts, pharmaceutical manufacturing infrastructure. All of that by Johns Hopkins said America's far and away the best at this. And we're going to take care of it. But if we have a government takeover of healthcare, you can forget having that all of those things and the peace of mind that comes with it.
Yeah, Congressman, let's go ahead and we want to take an early break so we have some time on the other side. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Thank you, Congressman.
And we are back here on KFYO Mornings, Dave King and Matt Martin, and back to Congressman Congressman Arrington on line one.
Congressman, with all that's going on, you've got the elections, all over the place. Everybody's running right now, especially in the House. Is there anything going on in the Ways and Means Committee or anything coming out of Congress right now?
Well, it's hard for Congress to produce much of anything under the leadership of Nancy Pelosi, who's being controlled by the left. That's my first point. Secondly, we were fortunate because of this president and Republicans in the House to get the USMCA trade deal done, which is, as you know, hundreds of thousands of jobs. It's 1 million jobs supported in Texas alone. I think the two big ones I'd highlight would be medical surprise medical billing. We have a component of that at the federal level. We passed it out of our committee. It was a bipartisan bill. The other is drug price reform. That's critical to bring the cost down for everybody, but especially seniors. Infrastructure, I'd love to get something done there. I just don't know if we can, if the Democrats will work with us in a presidential election year to give the president yet another win. I think that's how they see those things. They couldn't avoid that with the USMCA. They could avoid it with infrastructure. Those are the big things that we're looking at.
So, Congressman, with drug price reform, I know a lot of people are kind of worried about that coming out from a Democrat-run House. Is there any worries about what they may do to the drug companies, and do you think the Senate can stop anything the House might pull to try to sneak some stuff in?
Well, yes. The Democrats have passed government takeovers of elections, the healthcare system, Medicare for all, and they have H.R. 3, which is a government takeover of the pharmaceutical industry, which, by the way, we are the laboratory of innovation for the world because of our system. Now, it needs to change, and we need market-based reforms to bring costs down, and there's a whole host of bipartisan solutions to do that, including capping out-of-pocket costs for seniors. But what the Democrats want to do is import socialist policies from France and the like, and it would destroy innovation. And if we ever find ourselves in a situation like we are with this coronavirus, where we need to develop a vaccine and therapies in short order, we wouldn't have that infrastructure, because when government takes over something, it destroys innovation, quality, and it's the wrong way to bring the cost down. We can do it in a smart way without the government taking over it. We saw what happened with Obamacare. Cost doubled. It's supposed to be the Affordable Care Act. It's worsened an already problematic cost issue and access issue for health care. So
we have a texter this morning. I'm glad you mentioned Obamacare. He says we already had a government takeover of health care, Obamacare, and he says you guys did nothing to repeal it, and you had 2 years.
Listen, I appreciate the texter, and I share his sentiments, except I would just say I'm in control of what I can control in the House. We passed a repeal of Obamacare, and the Senate, if you recall Senator McCain putting his thumb down, we lost it by 1 vote in the Senate. We still repealed the Obamacare mandate for individuals, and we got tax reform through and other things. But, yeah, I'm as frustrated as that person is who texted, but I just want to remind folks, the House passed it, the Senate failed to.
So when it comes to drug reform, I think one of the biggest problems is, capitalism wins almost every time, but we've run into a global market where it's not capitalism around the world.
Freedom in the marketplace, economic freedoms have done more to create the largest middle class, the highest standard of living, the greatest quality of products and technologies. I mean, we are a great nation and the most prosperous nation, not because of some government program. It's because of economic freedom.
Congressman, we're up against the clock, and it's always glad to have you call. It's always interesting to talk. Wish we could talk longer. And good luck in the upcoming election.
Dave, thank you, Matt. God bless West Texas.
Thank you.
You betcha. All right. We are at 8 o'clock. And Dave and Matt in the morning will return with more right after this.